Yay Media Group.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Spill the Beans podcast. My co-host isn't ready today. I don't know what's going on, but I am coming with all the vibes, about to crash out because I'm high. No, I'm not high. Oh my God, cut that out again.
No, leave it in.
So caffeinated right now. I usually only have one coffee a day, but today I had two, and I'm stressing out because it's 2 espressos, which is probably 4 shots of espresso, and now I'm stressing out. No, I'm not stressing out, actually. I'm on a roll, I think. I'm like productive. I edited and uploaded 2 TikToks today. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
Well, hold your microphone up to your mouth.
Sorry, it's my first time here.
Anyways, we don't have any life updates today, guys. I feel like life has been pretty mellow recently, right? Nothing crazy going on.
Nothing crazy. We're just about to start one of our biggest businesses ever.
It's okay. You don't have to tell them yet, babe. Guys, subscribe to Patreon if you want to know. Just kidding. I can't wait to say that one day. One day I'm going to come out with a freaking Patreon and you guys are going to have to subscribe to it if you want more exclusive content. Honestly, I subscribe to one of my favorite podcasts, Patreon, and I freaking love it. So I'm like, I feel like you guys would too, because then we would really put out content that you don't see on either of our social medias, and it'd be like juicy, you know?
And I feel like a lot of you guys might be asking yourself, well, why not just make it that juicy just every time or free? But look, guys, a hater
ain't gonna purchase Patreon.
Those Cheeseman pages most likely are gonna purchase Patreon. So it's just like the real OG. Like if you pay to see something, it's because you love them, you know?
Yes.
So there's that. You eliminate that whole factor. But anyways, we asked you guys, we haven't done an advice podcast in such a freaking long time. We figured it was time. So I feel like this is perfect, babe, because you're all caffeinated and hyped up.
Yeah.
So we can get through a lot of these quickly, you know?
Mm-hmm. And we do want to preface this by saying that we are not professionals. We're just your 2 besties sitting on the couch, giving you our point of view on whatever it is that you're going through.
Yeah. How to deal with my struggling feelings of incompatibility with husband sometimes. Also don't know how to feel with having completely different mindset on principle versus money. For example, if I don't like you and I'm not on good terms with you, and vice versa, even if you offer to help out financially in some way with a party, I don't want your money. That's a fundamental principle in my book. Wow.
I feel like right now, in the times that we're in, I feel like we've been seeing a lot of people struggle with that, like in relationships, with compatibility like that, like sharing the same morals, the same principles, your same thoughts. But I think that's something that Jonathan and I always say is, she said husband, right?
Yeah.
He's your husband for a reason. You chose to marry him for a reason. And although obviously we have non-negotiables like cheating and abuse and crazy things like that, you have to sit down with him and have uncomfortable conversations, I think that as Jonathan and I get older in our marriage, it has gotten a lot easier to have tough conversations. The first couple of hard conversations we had, girl, we were shaking, didn't know how to express ourselves. And now when hard conversations come up, I feel like you waste no time and you sit down, you're like, all right, let's see what's going on,
Yeah.
Because you're married to them, like you have kids or you have a house, you have pets, you've built your whole life with them and you've grown together. And I know that when things like this happen, you focus on the bad, right? Like Jonathan has told me this before. He's like, babe, I feel like you only focus on the bad things I do and don't focus on the good things. Like if you focus on the good things, then you're going to be a little bit more flexible on the bad, quote unquote, So I think that when you are in those times where you're struggling and your mental health or your mental thoughts are like, oh, we just don't see eye to eye and it's really stressing me out, you just have to hash it out with him, like throw hands verbally with him,
Yeah, especially right now, if you're having all those problems and there aren't any kids involved, like get your shit straight and sort it out, because with kids, it's 1,000 times harder. If you already think differently on money, politics, religion, and that you still don't have kids, well, guess what? Every problem is just going to get like 100 times bigger, because now he wants to raise his kid a certain way, but you want to raise him, but you're not really religious, but he is, but et cetera, et cetera. So really, for all those couples out there that are listening to this, or girls or guys by themselves, really hash it out. Get your ducks in order, como dicen los güeros, and just before you have kids, because once you have kids, it's 1,000,000,000 times worse, but also 1,000,000,000 times better.
I don't know, girl. I think definitely communication is key. We sound like broken records, but it's true. And it's like we always say, if you guys are dating and you already see these red flags, like we don't align on certain things, please don't ever think that getting married is going to change that. If anything, it's going to emphasize it. And just be sure you know who you're choosing as a husband, because you're also choosing someone's parent. And at the end of the day, you have, like, I know when you're in the honeymoon phase, you're like, we're going to get married and it's going to be perfect. But you have to lay literally every single card on the table, whether it's your debt, your what is it, your political beliefs, your anything, like your religious beliefs. You have to lay it all out on the table. And if you're already married, it's not late. Like, you can still sit down and be like, hey, this has been bothering me, let's talk about it. I know it sounds cringy, but that's the only way that a marriage is going to be successful.
Are you on the general or requests?
I'm request. You?
Me too.
Okay.
Should I go to general?
Yeah, you can go to general. I'll go to requests. This one's juicy. What do you think it means? ? I just found out that my ex created a fake Instagram and has been following me for more than 6 months now. Keep in mind, I blocked him on everything, and it's been more than 6 years since we last spoke.
What the?
So how'd you find out, girl? Like, give us the tea. Let us know.
6 years is crazy.
Yeah, 6 years is crazy. Maybe he just wants to check in on you, keep updated with you. Maybe you're the one that got away,
Yeah.
I guess just block the new one that he made.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, if you haven't blocked, he was just probably just trying to, like, be nosy.
Yeah, like catch up with you. Like catch up on you,
Well, I don't know. Making a whole Instagram is kind of like a lot of work. I'm sure he has friends that could have just looked you up real quick.
No, I feel like people nowadays, like we were talking to our siblings, and like everyone has spam accounts and this account, that account. People make fake accounts to comment hate. So it's like, obviously it's really not that hard. And I think that it's really not that deep either. Like, people be making fake accounts for the craziest things. So consider, maybe just be a little bit flattered and block the new one.
Okay. I'm graduating in May from college, and I'm not sure to make a big party with everything going on in the world, and would feel guilty if anything did happen as an immigrant daughter. I was super excited since I am class of 2020 and literally just cried in my living room when graduating from high school and early college. I don't know if I should throw a huge party like I was excited and planning to or not.
What do you think?
I think you should throw that party. But I mean, are you scared? Like, do you feel guilty that like everything's going on and you're having a good time, or that you're going to throw a massive party? Neighbors are going to see the cars and then they might call ICE. Like, that's two different things. Because if you feel guilty, girl, you have fun. Like, yes, it's sad what's going on in the world, pero tampoco que deje de girar tu mundo, especially an accomplishment.
Yeah, like that.
If you were just throwing a banger just to get drunk with your friends, and I'm like, okay, but you graduated, you're, immigrant family, maybe you're the first, celebrate it,
Yeah. With the other thing too, I feel like you can take some precautions. For instance, maybe don't have a lot of alcohol, know when to cut people off, make sure no one's drinking and driving, make sure no one's underage drinking, just take some safety precautions and throw that party and celebrate that accomplishment, queen. Do you recommend staying at a job where you're miserable but financially stable, or a job where you take a pay cut but are happy? I'm so unhappy at my current job and hate the management and the lack of structure. I'm applying to new jobs, but they all pay less. Oh, that's hard.
That's a hard one. Especially, I saw a TikTok the other day about a girl. She was like, if you're planning to quit your job, don't. She's like, I quit mine and I've been on Indeed 24/7 and applying, and no one's hiring, or if they're hiring, like, it's crazy pay, like really bad. So with that being said, like, I would just tough it out, girl, until you can find something that does both, because because
I was gonna say, I remember when I was at the call center, guys, I used to work for like a collections call center, and we were like the company right before your bill went to collection. So I was here, hi, this is blah 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 calling from blah blah blah, and your bill's about to go to collections, you want to pay it? And then you'd give like a huge discount and get all the payment. And you guys, I was miserable at that job, but it was like my first good paying job, because it was like an office job. I could get my breaks and eat and do whatever I wanted. But I was miserable. I lasted 3 months, and like after I left, I could still hear the ringing in my ear from like all the calls that were coming in, and I had PTSD from freaking having to hit a number of calls in a chart. So at first I was gonna say that like F that. If you're miserable, like get out. It's life's too short. But I think Jonathan's is more reasonable. So just tough it out for a little bit until you can find something that you can compromise, you know? Like, do you compromise a little bit of a pay cut, but it's not a huge pay cut? Just know, like, choose something that's really going to be good for you in your life and that you're not going to regret, because that would be really bad.
How to save money when you freshly moved out your parents. I'm so stressed with money and moving out. Well, girl, you shouldn't be asking this question when you have moved out. This question should have started when you're with your parents. I feel like a lot of people, and it's not your fault, I'm not attacking you by any means. I just think that parents, they teach us a lot of things. They teach us how to cook, how to do our laundry, how to whatever. Some parents teach us worse things than others, but I think what in the whole, at least in the Hispanic community that like I've seen, money management and just like money smartness, anything. I think it lacks. Like parents just would get a cheque y pues lo gastaban, you know, and then that transcends to their kids, and we never taught savings, investing, stuff like that. So it's really hard to start saving once you leave your parents' house, but this goes out to everyone else listening that you might still be with your parents. Start saving, man. Like if you get your paid on Friday, ya te lo gastaste para lunes, that's really not okay. Like you should be saving. Have fun, of course. Like if you just got paid, go out to eat with your friends, but don't spend it all. And but to answer your question, once you leave your parents' house, I think try not to get into any debt. That means cars, credit cards, anything like that, and just start saving away at things that like si te queda a little extra, because once you get that new car or that new whatever TV and you're paying monthly, like you're a slave already. Like you have to pay. Like I told Blanca, like I can't wait to pay off our cars because I'm not getting into debt with anything else. As we spoke, getting an Escalade, but like you know what I mean. We're not getting
an Escalade or a new car in the near future. I was gonna say the same thing, but also like when you get your paycheck, make sure you have it budgeted out. Like, okay, this is how much I need for this bill, and then take whatever percentage you can afford that month, whether it's 5, 10, 20, and literally save it aside. Put it in a different bank account. The one thing that Jonathan and I have found that has helped us a lot is opening a bank account at a credit union or at another bank that you do not bank with daily, like for your bills or anything like that. Open a new account there, and whatever percentage, whether again I said it's 5, 10, 20%, like send that over and make sure it's like your savings. You do not touch it. It does not come. It's something that it's like the percentage that you can afford to just put away and don't even think about it.
Pretend like you're never gonna see that money.
Yeah. Ever. And that's how you slowly build a savings account. And whether you start with $1 a paycheck and it goes up to 10, 20, that is perfect. Like as long as you have an account that you do not touch, it's going to help you. Please listen to me, because this is the one thing that Jonathan and I have done that changed our life completely, I would say. But other than that, I feel like having a budget is really good. Download the Rocket Money app. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't had a Rocket Money sponsor for the podcast, but guys, I use Rocket Money so much, and it like I remember when I used to go to Starbucks like every single day when we lived in Firestone or whatever. It would send me a notification like, this is how much you've spent so far this week at Starbucks. I think you should check in on your bank account. And then I would go and like you see the accumulating. You're like, oh, I really need to stop. And it would literally make me stop. I started going like 3 times a week, and then 1 time a week, and then obviously now we don't go at all, you know. So definitely download Rocket Money. I think it's free, right?
Use code J&J for it to be free.
For real?
Yeah.
Period. Or Blanca J. I hope my code is still active. But yeah, guys, take advantage of all those free financing apps out there.
Tired of figuring out what's for dinner night after night after night, especially on those busy weekdays? Get dinner done the easy way thanks to HelloFresh.
HelloFresh's new ready-made meals go from your fridge to your fork in just 3 minutes. It's the same high-quality ingredients and restaurant-worthy flavor you expect with HelloFresh, except no work.
You can also save valuable time with fewer trips to the grocery store thanks to HelloFresh Market. There's over 100 add-on items you can add to your weekly box, like quick breakfast, packageable snacks, beverages, and more.
I love HelloFresh because it is so easy and so convenient, especially with 2 kids. We sound like broken records, but it's true.
And I love HelloFresh because I basically don't have to do nothing. Usually if Blanca cooks, I pick up the groceries, but now I don't even have to do any of that.
Get up to 10 free meals and a free high protein item for life at hellofresh.com/HelloFreshPodcast.
1 item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to hellofresh.com/HelloFreshPodcast.
HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Soon it gets addictive. It gets fun. Like once you see your little savings growing.
No, I'm addicted to Credit Karma. I be on Credit Karma every single day, which isn't good.
Preferably open a high yield savings account, guys, not just a regular bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Those are free. Anyone can open it, and it takes 5 minutes.
All right, this one says, "Hi guys, I would like some advice or your opinion. My partner and I have been together for almost 3 years and have a 1-year-old baby boy. For the most part, we get along and we're actually in our best moments right now. I just struggle because I'm the default parent. While I'm a stay-at-home mom and he works full-time, I understand he can be tired. He rarely helps with our son, and while he plays with him and is a... Wait, he rarely helps with my son, and while he plays with him and is a great father." Oh, okay. "He rarely helps with our son, and while he plays with him and is a great father, I feel that sometimes I still need a break. My mental health is something I've always struggled with, but he doesn't seem to understand. I think it's because he was raised in Mexico, and maybe that isn't something that they take serious. I don't know, but whenever I bring that up, I'm struggling, or whenever I bring up that I'm struggling these days, he says I need to grow up." Sorry. "I have been okay, but I would like to know your approach to this without having any arguments."
That's why I read these DMs how they sent them, babe. I'm not trying to autocorrect them.
I know, I'm trying to autocorrect them, but they're stressed. Sorry, girl. I know she probably typed it up really fast and it was stressing me out a little bit, but I love you, queen. I think that a lot of moms struggle with being the default parent, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or working mom. Like, how many stories you hear that you both work and you're still the default parent, you know? What would you say, babe? You're a guy. I mean, you were raised in Mexico and... What? Yeah, weren't you?
That's funny.
What?
No, you just like threw me out there like, oh, you were raised in... I really wasn't.
Yeah, you were, honey. You would go every single summer, every December.
But like as a little kid, but like I feel like raised big, like mental health, stuff like that really doesn't exist, you know?
Oh, okay.
No, but look, being like a work from home type of dad, obviously, work from anywhere type of dad, I'm with my kids more often than the regular dad, you could say, 9 to 5. And it's really hard. I truly get you, ladies. And being a stay-at-home mom, especially, is, I think, way more taxing mentally because you feel like you're a slave to your kids in the sense that, like, for example, I'm a stay-at-home dad, but I still have my own income, my own money. I can buy whatever I want, whenever I want. But, like, I feel like I've seen so many TikToks of girls like, oh, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I don't have any money to myself. I don't have money to do my nails, to do my hair, to do, like, go get Starbucks with the girls, and that must be so draining that, like, you have to either be at the mercy of your husband and hope he's a great guy to just give you on his own, or, like, wear the pants in your relationship, you could say, and budget both of your money. Y a ver si te queda poquito pa ti. That must be very draining. And all I can say is really sit down with him, girl, and, like, hey, I know, because it's true, like, I've had family members in Mexico. We talk about mental health and stuff, and they laugh at it. They're like, that's literally, worrying about your mental health is a mental health. Like, they just see it as like being a sissy or a wuss and just toughen up. Or if you have mental health issues, it's because you're not busy enough, is what I've heard from people in Mexico. And it's sad, and that's what leads to all the toxicity and like masculinity and machismo and all that. So I would really sit him down and be like, yo, times have changed. We live in a different place. And if I can't be happy and be a good mom, then I can't be a good wife. Then if, where is this relationship going to lead to? So you say that you guys, like she said, we're good right now. Or what did she say?
Yeah, we're in our best moments right now.
You're really not, girl, because if you're in your best moment, you are happy. You're happy. You're confident. You're radiating light, but you're clearly worrying about, your mental health and him not understanding something.
And your needs aren't being met.
Yeah, you can't be in your best moment if one of your needs isn't being met. Like, that's impossible. And I get in marriage, it's very hard to have a best moment, like, forever, like, or period. But you can get pretty darn close to it. And I feel like you're just not there. And I feel bad for you to even think you're there because you're lowering your standards so low.
Or putting yourself last.
Putting yourself last, yeah.
This is what I was going to say. Okay, pretend I'm your big sister. I've been married for 11 years. You need to sit him down and make him. Never mind. I was gonna say something vulgar, but I'm not gonna say it.
No.
I think that you genuinely need to sit him down and lay it out as it is. I know that a lot of times we're like, just communicate and be like, hey, babe, like my mental.
El hombre
No.
nomás llega hasta donde. ¿Qué?
No hasta donde la mujer lo deja,
Sí.
lo permite. I think that you, especially with these Mexican machista men, because obviously you have no control over that, how they were raised. That's just how they were raised. You have to sit him down and lay it out as it is. You know what? My needs aren't being met. What do I mean by that? You're not helping me. And I understand you're tired, but you're a dad. And guess what? Everyone knows what happens when you have sex. You have a kid, and having a kid is not just my kid. I didn't just have him. I didn't do the deed by myself and create this life and bring it to the world. Like, you have to tell him, I need you to help more with our son. And I feel like the one thing that I always think about is like, they are grown men. You're not talking to a toddler. You're not talking to a child. They are grown men. Y se hacen porque no pueden estar, like, you can't be as dumb as these men like make it seem. They make it seem they're dumber than they are. They just go around the world like acting like they're dumb so that they don't have to put their pants on and be a big boy, you know? So you just have to tell him, literally lay it on the table. I need you to do this. He is your son as well. I do not feel as if I'm asking for too much, because whether it or regardless of you working and making the bread and making me a stay-at-home mom, this is still your responsibility. You know, you just have to lay it out like that and tell him, and you have to be strong. Like, don't make it seem like, oh, but it's okay if you don't. No, like, you have to make it strong. And if you want this relationship to last, as we always say, you need your needs to be met. And that's on period, queen.
And look, I'm gonna break bro code here a little bit, but I'm doing it not to be a pick me to do all that, but I'm doing it because I truly want marriages to be better. Fellas, if you're listening to this with your girl, you're driving. I've worked all the jobs. I've worked landscaping. I've worked construction, welding, excavation. I've had a lot of jobs. So before you call me like you're just a YouTuber, what do you know? I've had all these jobs. I've been a cook. I've been everything. Working that type of job you have right now, I'm sorry, man. It's not as hard as being a full-time mom. It's just really not. You're with your boys over here acting gay, making fun jokes, humping each other, being fun. You're having a great time with your boys while you're working. And like being with your kid all day is just way more stressful, way harder. Because yes, I get it. Like when I work landscaping, las carruchas llenas de piedra, de lodo, está lloviendo, está haciendo 100 degrees outside, estás cansado, te cansas, sí. I'm not saying you don't get tired and you don't come home tired. But at the end of the day, you tuviste tu lonchecito,
like you had a lunch break.
Yeah, you had your lunch break.
Crazy.
You had your 30. So a lot of us have 30-minute breaks in the morning, lunch, y lo otra before we get off. Still the drive on the way back, on the way home, on the way there. I know a lot of you landscapers, construction guys, se van a su 7-Eleven, agarran su energy drink, y lo conviven, o ven a la señora que trajo lunches, you know? So it's like, trust me when I say, man, like, just help out your girl. She's way more tired than you, and it's just going to help your marriage overall, you know?
Yeah. I feel like also it's the little things. You do not understand how putting even 1 or 2% more effort than you already are is going to change your marriage 1,000%. Because as soon as a wife sees a man trying harder, it's like, oh, damn, like, this is amazing. And it's sexier. It makes you even like love him more and be like, okay, like, I'm doing the right thing, you know? So you just have to, guys. When you marry someone, when you have kids with someone, they become your priority. But don't think that just because you're out there working and making the bread and bringing it home means that you can just get home and rest. Because moms have been at it all day. And when you get home and rest and they're still at it, like, oh my God, the audacity.
Yeah.
I hope we helped you a little bit, girl.
That was a long one, but
I know,
feel like it was needed because
it's a passionate one.
Hi, just wanted to vent out here. I have my mother that I love, but I feel like she relies too much on me. Example, my sister misbehaving. She calls me. I feel like she doesn't want to raise my sisters anymore and is trying to push it on me. Keep in mind, I just had my daughter. She's too focused on a deadbeat mantenido and is blinded by him low-key brujeria vibes. Also moved away from her, and she is still asking for favors or for me to lend her money. I work my ass off along with my partner to make money. I do lend her money, expecting it back, but she acts like she forgets. Please discuss toxic moms, or I don't know what to call it. LOL. I'm trying to break the cycle and will raise my daughter to not have to worry about her parents' financial situation. This is a really tough one in the Hispanic community because we have big family morals, values, and like we love, like Mexicans. I'm gonna speak for Mexicans. It's very like family, right? Like you see it in like all the Coco movie and all that stuff, but it's also very hard with money because usually here in the United States, you know, no hay mucho for in Mexican household, so it's tough. It's tough. What do you want to say, babe?
I feel like we've all heard and maybe even experienced a little bit of that, like maybe not just with your parents, but just with your family in general. And that's what Jonathan is trying to point out here. Like all these movies, all of these traditions, it's almost a little bit toxic, I would say, to be raised being like, well, your family this and your family that, whether you're married or not, you have to help your family, or it's even like family members thinking that they are owed something just because they're your family members, you know? I truly believe that, and Jonathan has helped me a lot with this too, is when you are married, your main priority are your husband and your kids and the family that you are creating, because that is at the end of the day who you're going to have forever. And I'm not saying like, don't talk to your mom or whatever, but if you're telling me that she's a toxic mom, it's giving me vibes that you guys maybe didn't have a good relationship, that she just expects you to help her because she's just your mom, you know, not because she was amazing and supportive and she like put you on the right path and your future is so bright because of her. So I think with that, the one thing that Jonathan and I have always talked about is setting boundaries. And I actually saw a TikTok the other day of how crazy in a Hispanic family that when you're the person that sets boundaries, you're the most hated one. The, ay, esta creída, y esta no quiere, y esta el otro. Who cares? Like at the end of the day, you have your family, you have your husband, you have your kids. You have to prioritize yourself and them. And if setting boundaries makes you a creída or makes your mom hate you or your sisters hate you, at the end of the day, that is unhealthy for them and you're doing what's best for you. And don't ever be afraid to set a boundary. Don't ever be afraid to be like, hey, mom, I can't help you with this. Hey, mom, I would really appreciate if you stop telling me my sister's problems. I just want to be their sister. I don't want to be their mom. And yeah, like you genuinely have to lay it out like that. I think that it's hard being a Hispanic daughter, but it's necessary. Like in order for you to be calm and peaceful in your marriage, you have to set boundaries with your family. And I know it sounds a little bit toxic, but it's more like the other thing is more toxic, even though it's frowned upon not to help your family. Like that is a toxic mentality that we were raised with.
Yeah, I feel like the quicker you set the boundary, the better.
Yes.
Like just like a Band-Aid, you have to rip it off and just be like, la primera vez que te pregunten por dinero, you know, like, no, pues sabes que yo tampoco tengo, andamos en las mismas, no, es que, like, I've had people, you know, people from all sorts of places ask me for money, and I'm like, like, I don't have any money either, and just, like, you set that boundary, like, I'm not going to be taken advantage of just because, you know, you think you might know that I have money, but in reality, like, everyone's in a different situation, you know?
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can help this girl out. She says, in need of serious advice for toddler tantrums. How do you guys go through it? Or about it, sorry. Not me autocorrecting.
Well, you're the expert, babe. Have her. Let her have it.
You know what, guys? Recently, I started following this señora. She's like old, right? She's like 60 or something on TikTok. And it was like, I think her name is like Stop Toddler Tantrums. I don't fucking know what her name is. But she basically says, and this is like, I've been trying to implement this because I feel like we're in the era where it's like gentle parenting and you have to be gentle and you have to do this and that. And Jonathan actually, if you guys know, he was a coach at a high school, at his old high school. And he was like, I'm seeing like gentle parenting in these new kids.
The negative effects. And then he started telling me the negative effects. And I was like, oh shit, like that's true. So Jonathan and I are trying to implement a what would you call our parenting? Like not gentle but not crazy, like is there assertive parenting? Yeah, assertive
parenting.
Word, yeah.
Like you have, like it's like when you have pets, like you have to let them know who's alpha, right?
Yeah.
Like you cannot be pushed around by your kids. And I feel like I need a lot of help in that too. Like I've been trying to implement a lot of more assertiveness with Franco because he's a toddler. Belen doesn't know anything, but yet, sorry, she's like just a baby, you know. She's just my little honey bunch. But the one thing like with tantrums that I've noticed, it's you like it sounds bad, right? Because the one thing that the lady said was, don't try to sit there and be like, it's okay, honey. Like basically she said, don't try to have these mini therapy sessions that aren't gonna work, because you can sit there and be like, it's okay, honey, and they're gonna be kicking, screaming, crying, and like trying to hit you maybe because they just can't control their body. You have to legitimately ignore it. Like ignore the tantrum and be like, the one thing that I do with Franco that I feel like always helps is like he'll be throwing a freaking tantrum and I'll be like, I'll be here when, like, I'll literally tell him, I'll be here if you need a hug. Like, I'll be here and hug me when you're ready. And literally, like, he'll cry for 10 more seconds and then he's like, Mama, me abrazas? And then, yeah, like, I'll hug him and then I'll have the mini therapy session. I'll be like, ¿Qué pasó? And then I'll make him explain to me, and then I'll meet his needs. Or if it's like that he can't have something, the main thing that you have to do is like not give into it. You know, don't let them think that, oh, because I cried, they're gonna give me what I want. Yeah. I think that's one thing that we've done pretty good about, is if they're crying for something, we don't give it to them if it's like, if that is our rule, you know. So I think it's like ignore, let them know you're there, like don't be mean and like ignore them and, you know, be mean to your toddler, but ignore, let them know you're there if they need comfort, and then talk about it and talk through their feelings and like genuinely ask them what is wrong, and then tell them, like, you just have to explain to toddlers why he can't or he or she can't do what they want to do, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like being toddler parents is really hard in this day and age, because everyone's like, just be gentle. Just tell them that it's going to be okay. But at the end of the day, like, you have to raise good, healthy people, and not people that are like, oh, if I cry, everything's going to be given to me, you know?
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We often hear about the red flags we should avoid. How about instead we focus on the green flags in our friends and partners?
If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify the green flags. It can help actively practice them in your relationships and embody the green flag energy yourself.
Whether you're dating, married, building a friendship, or just working on yourself, it's time to form relationships that love you back.
I choose therapy because it is consistency in my life. I know I have someone to talk to every single week.
And therapy helps me by not fixating on the little things and just worrying about the bigger picture day by day.
BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide.
Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties, and easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost.
Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/spillthebeans today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/spillthebeans.
That is my take on toddler tantrums. What would you say, babe?
On a more like funny note, this has helped me a lot. Say like Blanca's thing ain't working and this kid's about to freak out. You know when your child's about to freak out, right, girl? Yeah. Like, you know, like, fuck, we're in Walmart and he's about to have the biggest tantrum of his life. What I do when Franco, I know it's getting there, like, you know, like it's starting to heat up. Mm-hmm. I call it the, like, from the penguins from Madagascar, like I see like all like agent detective. I call it distract and
hope for the best.
And distract and run. There, I'll call it that. Or confuse and run. And what I mean by that is, like, say he really like wants something or he's about to throw a tantrum. I just confuse the shit out of him. I'm like, pa, tú sabes que afuera hay jirafas. Y si vamos ahorita y nos subimos al carro bien rápido, podemos alcanzar a mirarlas. And then he's like, what the hell? Like, giraffes outside the store? Like, what? So I grab his hand and we start speed walking out or paying or going through like what we have to do. Not like in a weird, like, you know, grab his hand and start running, but like I'll start like speeding up the shopping or speeding up whatever is about. Boom, we get to the car and we barely make it. And then, yeah, en el carro, date vuelo, mijo. Like, you can cry all you want in the car. You can let out everything you want, because there's not people here to think that I'm, you know, treating you bad or killing you. So I do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing Jonathan and I have been really good about, is like, if he's crying, we're letting him cry. Like, if we're not in public and we let him cry and cry and cry until he's like, okay. Like, I'm ready for this or that. Or even he himself will solve his own problems. Like, say he wants a chocolate and it's 10 p.m. He'd be like, okay, mama, me lo das mañana. Or después de que almuerce mañana me lo das. And you just have to, like, let them regulate their own emotions. The worst thing you can do is try to stop it. Don't try to stop it, girl. Just let him cry, ignore, and wait.
When we say we let him cry, we're not just like straight up he's screaming, calling for us, and we're just not talking.
No, that's
we're
what
trying
I'm
to
saying.
talk him through. We're talking him through it.
Yeah.
Like, pero ¿por qué estás llorando? And he'll be screaming and echándonos la madre si puede, like in toddler ways. But we like, tú sabes, mira, podemos pensar en otra manera cómo hacerlo. And yeah, like you say, like, oh yeah, well, pues si me das el chocolate mañana, okay, ándale pues, mañana sí te lo puedes comer. Blah, 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 you know? So, Blanca, and then my way of confusing and running works for a lot of things, guys. Like, let's say Franco, it's 2 a.m, he wakes up crying because he's disorientated or he had a bad dream. Blanca would be CEO of like, venga mijo, y luego lo trata de agarrar and like mecerlo, and boom, he wakes up, and or he's even more mad because he's like, why am I not being able? I go in there and I'm like, papá, tápate con la cobija porque creo que vi un gato ahorita en la ventana y si no nos, you know? And like, it just confused, not like scaring him, but it confuses it fuses the crap out of him, and he like has no other option but to like, oh shoot, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That just, it makes sense to him in that moment, you know? And boom, he goes back to sleep. And sometimes, you know, I just have to go in there, say some crazy shit, and he'll go back to sleep, and Blanca will be there like 2 hours later, just, you know? So.
But kids they also act different with their mom. So
Yeah,
to always like have that in mind. And at the end of the day, guys, trial and error. Literally, it is what it is with toddlers. You have to trial and error. Try this, doesn't work. Try that, doesn't work, until you get what your perfect tantrum stopper is, or whatever. Because we tried everything, and at the end of the day, that is what it is. Like, if we're talking through it, if we're talking him through it and it's still not working, then that's when we're like, okay, pa, aquí voy a estar si quieres un abrazo, okay? And then like you sit there with them, let them cry, and then they eventually come, you know? So I'm not telling you to ignore him and then leave him in the room and close the door and run, you know?
What are we at?
35. Okay. Should we one more and that's it? Or no?
For the pod, I'm from Chicago and I flew to spend the weekend with my now new boyfriend who is from Alabama. I'm so excited about this new relationship, and he's such a great man. He makes me feel so loved and special. My question would be, what would your advice be to keep the love alive over time in a relationship? With us being long distance, and I want to make sure I'm putting in my best effort to make sure our relationship continues to feel this special 1 or 2 or however many years from now. Muchas personas mayores siempre dicen que el amor no dura, and I don't believe that to be true. I love y'all. Thanks for the advice in advance. I crack up because you say que la gente mayor como no sabe, pero girl, sí saben. And the quicker you realize that old people aren't there to nag you, or some are, right, to put you down or to be like creídos or whatever. But at the end of the day, a veces sí tienen razón. And personally, I've never been in a long distance relationship. And have you?
Mm-mm.
And I just
are you good?
I don't know. I just feel like, but I know people that have and that worked it out, like Adriana and Jorge, right? Like they're married, they have a beautiful daughter, they're amazing right now, right? And but so ask them. No, I'm just kidding. I would say try to see each other as often as possible. Right? Like Jorge would always try to come to Tijuana. Adriana would meet him there, or she would go all the way to Zacatecas. So I would just try to see each other as often as possible. If you're seeing each other, I don't know, 2-3 times a year, or I would say you try to see each other at least
once a month,
twice a month.
Oh shit.
Like once every 2 weeks. I know it's going to get expensive. It's crazy to say, but look, girl, guys have not needs, like I'm not talking sexually, right? That's part of it, but it's a new relationship. I'm not expecting you to give it up right away, right? But guys, like if he knows you're in New York, or where are you from, like really far away, and it's like he's over here, and if he's young and he's good looking, like, you know, I would just try to see each other as much as possible. That's my advice.
Yeah, that's my advice too, because I feel like when you're in a long distance relationship, there's a lot of things that you have to sacrifice and compromise. So it's like, yeah, you can talk every day, try to FaceTime every day, but I feel like you also have to lay all the cards on the table. Like I always say, broken record, sorry. Like you guys have to sit down and be like, okay, this is what I expect from you. This is what I expect from you. And our long distance relationship is going to work if we both respect each other. And if we compromise and say, okay, this time I'm going to come here and meet here, or just like try to see each other as much as possible, as much as you financially can, because it could be a financial strain as well. And honestly, like, I feel like with any new relationship is like, don't get your hopes up that fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you like, don't make it work if you are already seeing red flags at the beginning. Like if you are like, okay, well, I'm putting all this effort in, but he's not, or vice versa. Don't be afraid to not continue it. You know, like maybe you really like him, but there are red flags. At the end of the day, make it realistic to you. Like, how soon are we going to be in the same state? How soon are we going to, you know, make time to like spend a month together? And if that doesn't seem reasonable or something that you think is in the near future, then also don't think that it's not okay to just walk away. You know,
don't
like,
ignore the red flags just to move in sooner.
Also,
you know
that
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay,
don't move too fast.
The long distance relationship thing would be solved if we just live together.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. He has a better paying job, so I'm gonna move to him. But I did notice that he's a little weird with his this. He made a comment about women's rights or something. I don't know, right? It's something
Whatever
that
it is.
you're like, I'm just gonna ignore it because I want to live with him already. Once I live with him, I can change his mind. Like, no, don't throw away your life either for someone else's life.
Exactly.
But you got this. I believe in you guys. Update. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
You know, update us. Be like, we're in Alabama now. We bought a ranch. We living our best life. Like, please. Like, we need more stories like that. So update us. Will you guys really not travel by plane this year?
We have a couple of trips planned. I think that we're just gonna leave it all to God, you know?
Yeah, it's
Get on
tough,
a plane
guys.
and pray to God.
Si te toca, te toca. And all I know is if we were to travel without kids, I'm popping something, babe.
For real.
And I'm going
or
to sleep.
With kids.
What? How are you gonna go to sleep with kids?
Oh, like
one of those that make you pass out. Because it's like if the plane crashes, I'm waking up in heaven. Like, I'm not going through all that.
I'm not going to see this.
Ain't no way. The anxiety is starting to set in, guys, with all these accidents. But, I mean, I hear TikToks from actual, like, flight attendants, flight pilots, and they're like, it's just like, because there's a new president, because whatever, they're more televised. But he says there's accidents, you know, pretty often, especially from these smaller little planes. But still, flying in a plane is still the safest way of transport, even more than train, I heard. So
that's what I hear too. So I guess just get on a plane and pray to God.
Honestly, flying is such a privilege. Like, yes, you hear about an accident and you get scared, but right, the math of like you dying in a plane is like so low, right? It's like,
yeah, like it's more likely for you to die in a car accident.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like winning the lottery. Like the odds, there's millions of flights every day and 2 or 3 accidents a year, right? Yeah. But no, what did I want to say? Not but. That was the wrong thing. Now it set me off. It's still the safest way. This
one I think is short and sweet and easy. It says, currently dating this guy who I want a future with, but he does not. Any advice?
What the?
Leave. That is the only advice. There are so many men out there, girl. Please don't ever settle for anything less. He doesn't want a future. He made it clear to you. Peace out. And that's
the podcast. I remember now, babe.
Oh, what?
Like, let's say the odds from the get-go, right, were 20% chance of you dying. People would still fly a lot.
Really?
I think we're spoiled that it's like so rare and so... But think about, you're traveling in a metal tube 600 miles per hour from New York to LA. Like, the privilege of getting there safe, to me, the physics, the science is so crazy that I feel like if there was a 20% chance, let's say you had to go to New York for an interview, for a job, or to visit your grandma, she's dying, and there's a 20% chance, like from the get-go, like from the minute they made airplanes, hey, there's a 20% chance you might die. But guess what? You don't have to drive 5 days to New York and waste all this money on gas. You know, I feel like there would be just as many people flying. It's such a luxury.
It is. Yeah. Dang, that's true. But anyways, guys, that's it for today's podcast. I hope you guys liked our little advice segment. It felt like the longest time since we did one. And I was like, no, we need to bring them back, because I feel like we could be those opinions that you don't really listen to, or the unbiased ones at that. So,
or the confirmation. A lot of you guys send stuff hoping to hear what you want to hear.
Yes. But with all that being said, Thank you guys so much for watching this week's podcast. We love you so, so much. And we will see you next week.
Later.